What's happening, guys? It's day 11 of multidimensional March, which means that today is a portal. Okay, 11 is a doorway, it's a portal into something else, into a new experience. So today I want to speak about magic and the backlash that magic has received. You know, in a lot of the times around the world, there's been a complete backlash against the magicians. Now understand that even if there are bad people out there or sorcerers out there that are magicians that are maybe causing more havoc or problems in the world, you understand that even to defeat them, you still need to know the art form of magic. That's what people don't understand. We can't beat these people with just hate or goodness. It's got to come from your unique angle and pathworking. And I think that a lot of the times we get very scattered. We let the physical world take over, and then we lose touch with another kind of reality, which is the metaphysical world. So in a sense, there's 3 levels of magic, okay? The first level is miracles. By the way, my name is Sumedh Chatterjee. I'm a founder of the Flow Zone Academy and Primal Sutra. And you know, I'm a flow state guy, okay? I've become a meme nowadays. I'm just that dude who's about the flow. So magic happens in 3 levels, okay? Level 1 is miracle. So I want you to imagine like a giant, you know, Lego thing, right? Like something made out of Lego. And then one piece is completely weird. It's like a strange shape of a Lego. It doesn't really look like it fits in with the other pieces, right? And you start to go, wow, that's a miracle. That's an outlier. That is different. That is unique. That is weird. That's the first level of magic, where you understand the discrepancy. This doesn't fit in with the normal, okay? And it's miraculous in the sense where you feel that, you know, I'm losing, you know, I need $200 for a course. Suddenly my boss gives me $200 tomorrow for a project. It's like that kind of a miracle, you know, where you see the signs and the synchronicities immediately show up in this instant manifestation, instant magic that some of you might have noticed that happens, right? Then we have level 2. Now, if you get to level 2, you understand it's a little bit complex, but it is more so the mechanics or the procedure of the magic, okay? So the mechanics is almost the missing jigsaw pieces or the missing Lego pieces that you can't really see. It's the ones that are invisible, right? It's, okay, we have what we want now, what we have now and what we want, and in between there are all these missing pieces. Now, when you find out that procedural step-by-step process of chunking something down to its smallest equivalents and then just stacking them and doing them with momentum and using the energy and the force of your own will, the power of your own will to change our physical condition based on the metaphysical preponderance, right? So that's level 2, right? And then we have level 3 of magic, which is basically what I would call metaphysics, okay? Now, the metaphysical realm or the supernatural realm hides these hidden worlds, right? These hidden planes of existence where there's a lot of mysteries to explore still in terms of that. But that's a high-level magician where they're getting in touch with these hidden realms and these mystical worlds, and they're communicating with spirits, and maybe they're using divination, right? Like divination is perceiving something through time and space, right? And that's the same definition of clairvoyance in essence too. So one can be studied scientifically using the term clairvoyance, and it actually has been, right? And I can tell you some of the links. As being a mystic scientist, I also study some of the science based on the paranormal. And some of the studies that they've done, okay? I think this dog is picking up my frequency right now. That's right. That's right, bro. See, it's all good. So magic is just a different perspective, okay? That's the way that I want you to really think about it. And we in culture, you know, we have this Cartesian split of mind and body. We don't really feel like we fit in. And there's this sense of my mind is trying to create something, my body's doing something different, like this split between mind and body, right? Whereas we understand that mind and matter at a certain level, like Newtonian physics helps us understand like how we can send a rocket to the moon. But Newtonian physics doesn't help us understand like what is hidden in the realms, and that's why a lot of the times we go towards quantum physics to understand these things, right? So one thing that I've understood is like the morphic resonance of a place, okay? So we might hold certain thought forms or different ideas of the collective unconscious. Like you might feel like, I can fly, right? Or I can levitate, but the entire world believes that you can't, and believes that they can't. And so it actually modifies your self-belief, right, in a sense. So holding on to something that you believe in is so crucial and so powerful. And they've done this with studies, okay? They've done this with many studies where, you know, there was a study with blessed chocolate and blessed tea. So they got these Buddhist monks, or these, mystical shaman Buddhist monks, right? Who blessed the tea and they blessed the chocolates. In the first experiment, when they blessed the chocolates, they noticed the people who had the chocolate blessed seem to have more improvements in their mood and so forth. In the second experiment, when they noticed the blessed tea, they noticed that it was only that they believed in the fact that they would be receiving the blessed tea that they received the healing or the mood expansion. So that goes to show you how important the power of belief is in regards to this magic thing, right? If you are truly skeptical and you don't believe in this thing, you won't actually find a way to harness the powers. And you can call this placebo, you can call this whatever you want. It is your own word for it. But how I've understood this self-fulfilling prophecy thing of the esoteric traditions is, you know, everything comes from consciousness. Okay, so that means that when studying psychic phenomena, you understand it's this co-participation, this co-creation that's happening. And other people's thoughts, ideas, belief systems, you know, upbringing, deep-rooted, embedded things or traumas that happen to them, you know, all of these things are happening in the background and also influencing your decisions. You know, Big Pharma wants to keep you addicted to all its pills, and I am saying that by myself partly owning a pharmacy, you know, because well, my parents are. My mom is starting a hospital and a new pharmacy and things like that. So saying that, you know, you understand that I'm coming from a background of medicine. Okay, I'm not like some crazy person, you know, rambling in the New York subway about, you know, aliens and ghosts. By the way, some interesting thing about ghosts, okay? This is a bad segue, but let's just say, you know, the idea of ghosts would be like the energetic signature of the person after they've died is still there. So the electricity is still there. So when you hear something like something is moving or something is like that, it's like their spirit is still kind of wandering around and we see that electrical signature, but we don't have the eyes to actually see that energy. And so we label it as a ghost, right? That could be one perspective of thinking about this. So, you know, understand that cancel culture is a modern day witch burning. If you really understand this, you're going to really change your whole worldview in this video right now. Understand that, and of course we can't compare like pitchforks to somebody, you know, shouting and spouting something on Twitter, but at the same time you understand that that's kind of shame that's created. And, you know, someone like St. Joseph, where they took him into the church and they told him like, hey, listen, man, you know, you can levitate, we'll make you part of the church. But even at a certain point, he was also labeled as demonic. He was also labeled as a bad person and, you know, doing all of these things, which I don't really understand that argument, because you need to study the evil if you're going to defeat the evil. You get what I mean? Like, you need to go into that if you're going to stay away from that and be at a slightly different order or an advantage in this game, okay? Now, some may also argue that, you know, you get manipulated with by these frequencies. Yes, trust me, we know, okay? These are tricky energies to work around. However, once you can understand that you can access your own healing, okay? So stop making money your God, okay? Stop making having your job your God. Stop making, like, you know, buying lots of purses, that's your religion, okay? You've got to understand that in your pocket, your brain is a pharmacy, okay? You can actually heal yourself with intention, with pure intention, okay? And once you understand that scientists are very similar to these metaphysicians, in the sense that science is basically, let's ignore all the theories and hypotheses and, oh, eureka, I did it, stop pressing that button. Let's forget all of that, and let's go into the science that's actually knowledge and process together, right? Like, nobody cares you have a dusty old, like, you know, beaker, and you're like doing stuff with test tubes in the background. Like, nobody cares, you know. The same thing with magicians and mystics. Nobody cares what rituals you're doing behind the scenes and all the, you know, secret things that you're working on. But the people who are interested in that, who want to seek deeper, who want to understand that life is not just this physical reality, there's something greater out there for me for this, right? Then you understand that magic of reality is language and art combined and metamorphosed together, okay? So the art of language and the language of art. Once you understand this, now you can actually walk through this simulation with a lot more potency and creation fuel, okay? Now, magic is described as abilities beyond our comprehension. But science also can allow you to test anything that is, you know, measurable, conceivable, and possible at the same time, right? So start to understand that I take notes for like everything, okay? Like, I'm reading something, I'm watching something, I'm consuming something, I'm taking a note down because I don't know when my subconscious mind is going to use it much later, right? And so this was a habit that I just started to implement being a mystic, and knowing how to be a good student of life in general, and noticing and observing. Like, we use observational tools for science, right? We observe what is really happening, what's going on, what is the change in this chemistry equation, you know, and also finding your own path, and also embracing the pain that comes from the path. I think a lot of people, they're too scared or afraid that the pain is telling them to run away from it or avoid it altogether. They don't see the gifts and the blessings on the other side of that pain period or that process. Okay, the gifts and the elixir of life that you will receive after going through some kind of form of challenge or suffering in the mystical realms is unbelievable. And I've experienced this myself, and maybe some of you have as well. Now, if you look at like ceremonial magic, and maybe that's your style, right? Everybody has their own like style of buffet of magic that they're doing. Some people are doing folk magic, some people are working only with elementals, and, you know, sometimes nature magic or fire magic, or, you know, maybe some people are looking only at the Goetia, some people are only working with the archangels, you know. Some people are just looking at their own pantheon, right? What culture they're brought up in, and, you know, what they're doing. Why is there always noise here, bro? That's unbelievable, huh? We can't even get any peace and quiet. Oh, thank you. Kind of quieted down when I said that. That's funny. So, you know, you have to find your own path. So what is it for you, right? Is it voodoo? Is it nature magic? Is it, you know, ceremonial magic? Even someone like Crowley invented something called equinox, which he said, and the motto of equinox was the method of science and the aim of religion. Okay? Really start to understand that, because, you know, Blavatsky and all those people who came along who made ceremonial magic more powerful, you know, of course, that they were also mainly focused on the aspects of bringing things together and learning from the East and the West, which is very powerful. Someone was telling me that there was a style of ayahuasca that's coming from the north and coming from the south, like the south and the north together. And I'm understanding that blending quality of like two different things, like two different genres of music, or two different, you know, like two different art forms coming together is really, really powerful, okay? So understand that, you know, we're really afraid of what we are capable of, okay? So understand that, you know, you have vibrations that can change your physical reality around, okay? And, you know, divination back in the day was done through altered sense of consciousness. You would need to get into an altered state of mind to actually perceive these states of reality or beingness, or these different realms, right? Nowadays, we have Wi-Fi and we can pull up Google when we're looking for something to search, right? That's kind of a form of divination if you really think about it, right? So in the modern context, it's helping you understand it as a modern day mystic. Like, what can you actually perceive the difference to be, right? Now, we will be writing a book on this. I think eventually turn it into some kind of a Primal Sutra grimoire for you guys, so you can actually follow along and see the deities we work with, and, you know, see the different styles that are resonating for you. And perhaps you want to do something with crystals or orgone energy. Maybe you want to, you know, experiment and go more into a pathworking that aligns with your career or something like this, right? So maybe you're looking for that method to the mystical, right, in a sense. So, you know, in the past, they could raise energy in the body, the Kundalini and Shakti. In the body, raise it up, hold up the breath, and, you know, put it to the top of the head so we can have these ecstatic or blissful, you know, experiences, right? Where the Shekinah walks in through the door and you see them. Or the sense of like the Tao that you feel by looking at a stream or river, right? Like those little moments where you just find those pockets of reality. We could raise energy in the past like that, right? Through our own physical bodies in order to heal ourselves. I believe flow state is a medicine because when you're in that state, you are absorbing and you're in that involvement, right? You're in that engagement. And that's what makes a relationship last. That's what makes a business grow, right? And be more productive. That's what makes life better and greater in general when we're in the zone, right? When we're doing something and we're truly enjoying it. We're not just in this bleh kind of autopilot zombie state as we're doing it, but we're letting go from a different lens where the autopilot becomes more transformational and exciting to us, okay? So, you know, you can raise energy in the body in the past, but nowadays we have ultrasound waves that are creating a radiation to, you know, and chemotherapy and things like this, right, to cure cancer. So now we understand, like someone like Marie Curie, you know, she studied this dangerous thing of radioactivity. We would have never known about radioactivity if she hadn't, you know, stepped up, actually found the courage to go through on this research and do something about it, right? And so these dangerous things, if you're thinking that, oh, this is sinful, this is demonic, this is, you know, dangerous, you are actually discounting the imagination is such a powerful tool of alchemy. You get that? There's a certain way when you say a sentence that will resonate with how you go about the results of that. You get it? So let's just say you're like, oh, I'm leaving this person because they're a slob and they never do anything that I want to do and they're weak and they're a piece of shit. Like, that makes you feel bad. When you say that out loud, even if it's true, it feels bad to the system. So there is an emergency mode that is starting to take over. You get that? Your system is going, you know how, what was that show, man, on Netflix? Squid Games, right? You had red light, yellow light, green light, right? Bad example, but you know what I mean? Like, using that example for now, you'd have a red light in that moment when you say that sentence. I'm leaving this person because I'm not good enough for them. It just feels bad. Your heart closing up, you feel more tension, your body feels actually lack of self-esteem and like a confidence lowering, right? And like a going down, like this judgmental nature, or like saying bad about someone, right? All of these thoughts start to come in that one sentence, in just that one sentence, in your justification of your belief system. Now, that belief system is almost like the blessed tea, right? But it's almost the ungrateful tea, the unblessed tea, right? You're giving yourself. Now, what if you said to yourself, you know, I really feel like I am here to create something for myself, and that's why I'm leaving this person, because I feel that I deserve somebody in my life to support me, and, you know, it'll make my life a lot better when I can go into this with my own thing and not having this person's, you know, energy come in and kind of force me into this or something like that. Like, I'm gonna do this for my own expansion and my growth, because I see that we're arguing all the time and our traumas are reflecting from each other, and it's not healthy if we keep doing this year after year, right? And so perhaps this break from each other is just a realization that, maybe our story has already been told, and this new story that I'm writing is a lot more empowering than that old narrative. Because imagine if you were still in the old relationship that you decided to leave a long time back, right? What if you were still there in that chaos? Now, as I'm saying that, some of you are relieving your body, right? Your physical body and your nervous system is actually relaxing in the moment when I say that. And you're going, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, it's not that bad. I mean, they weren't really a slob, it's just they were preventing me from being action-oriented. You get what I mean? Like, so that creates a green light within the system where you move forward towards on the journey. It's going to add more momentum, it's going to add more fuel. So what is the story that you're telling yourself? I talked about this, I believe 2 days ago, right? For the rewriting the love story example. We have to tell yourself what this story really means to you, right? Now, I think when we can take our uncorrupted will and when we can remove this ignorance or this lack of knowledge in this area, because ignorance breeds hate, ignorance creates more suffering, okay? Not knowing how something works will breed the hate around that because you're unfamiliar with it. You don't understand it. It is completely new and different to you. So of course there's going to be skepticism whenever you do something new, right? There's going to be a sense of skepticism that comes up, like a genuine level of your brain coming in and being like, maybe this is possible, maybe this is not, maybe let me question this a little more, let me be a little bit more discerning with my intellect and my time and energy and how I'm thinking about these things, because there's a lot of unproductive thoughts that we have. I think one of you asked me a question, right, around like, what do we do when we're obsessed with too much knowledge, right? And the thing is, it's about seeking the right knowledge and not overwhelming yourself or overburdening yourself with so many datums that are just floating around without any context. So once you give yourself a theme of your life and your pathworking, it makes things so much easier because you only align towards things that will propel that pathworking. So let's say your word is justice and you're a lawyer. Now you've got to just focus on creating more justice within yourself and on the external world, right? Internal, as within, so without. And that will make it so much easier than you scrambling around trying to, do these things and make these tasks happen without any major theme of your life. You see, my major theme of my life is flow or flow state. And so with that, I now allow myself to learn everything around that context. And I know a lot of things can be considered flow, but at the same time, I find myself in little pockets where, let's say, I only give myself to read one book a month. Okay, I don't do the self-help junkie thing where I'm reading like 500 books and I'm trying to like rush through all these audiobooks. No. That entire month, I dedicate myself to one audiobook or one, even sometimes delving into one chapter, right? One little story of the Bhagavad Gita can be used to be delved into and dissected in so many different ways. You get what I mean, man? So it's like when you are learning something like just a certain passage of the Bible, like that can change your entire worldview around. You get what I mean? And it's going to help you. And there's so many layers of depth, right? So you might be stuck on one concept for a really long time, maybe years. But you've got to understand that with this craft of learning new knowledge, of accumulating new knowledge, you have to do as Bruce Lee said, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own. That's the process I've been following since day one, okay? And it's worked for me, okay? It's worked for me. What is not helping you, which is ineffective, what is useless, which is adding more, a lot more problems for you. Like take this example, right, of the problems. There are higher level pain point leadership problems, right? And then there are certain problems that come with you being just an average person and like, you know, going along with the status quo. There's general problems that show up, but then there's also leadership problems of you having to make a really tough decision at a certain point, right? And so I'm not classifying that the leadership problems are more important than my daily problems. No, not at all. It's like, but you've got to go through how you resonate with that and solve those things using the right, correct instances of knowledge, right, that fit together. Like I use that Lego analogy, it's like you want to find all the Lego pieces that fit together, and the miracles and outliers and weird stuff that shows up, you embrace, you appreciate, and you apply. That's been a mantra of Primal Sutra since day one, since we started this magical pathworking journey, right? There have been times where we've been super confused. We've been like, huh? But this thing showed up, and now there's this ghost, and then this spirit is trying to communicate with us. And, you know, now there's a weird, you know, chemical reaction that happened where two candles are setting off and like melting into each other. And, you know, we found that water is very powerful for our path working, mainly because water relates to emotions and water relates to the subconscious mind. Okay? So I found that through the actual craftsmanship, I mean, magic is really crafting the physical from the non-physical, right? So understand that your level of mastery is going to impact this craft, right? It's going to make it better for you. So once we started to do these very creative magical rituals, the effort that you give behind the ritual of you creating it, you know, you cutting up the pieces of paper, you creating the sigil with the marker, you giving a piece of your DNA like an eyelash into the actual, you know, intention or the petition that you're writing for this being. So all the time we would just tell ourselves appreciate, embrace, and apply. Like otherwise we would have gotten so scattered on this journey because we're trying to be pragmatic effective with this information of magic, right? We're not trying to be so mystical and woo-woo that we just keep ourselves in like a lost void box where, you know, Citri is chasing us around with some kind of a weird dilemma. You get what I mean? Like, we don't want that reality. That's a weird reality to be in. Like, why are you struggling in that reality right now? You want to be contextual, context dependent, right? So within your life framework, within your context where you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years, there's generally going to be an overarching theme. Now, I've doubled down on this theme to the point where I've tattooed it on my body. I've understood that this is part of my mission, and I'm just moving forward with that eloquence and ease to make my life a meditation, right? Like, as the AI predicted from yesterday, you know? Like, whoa, that was really trippy, you know what I mean? So, in any sense, you know, to be very formidable in terms of this practice, you know, and especially with the water magic element, like looking at your own reflection will change you. You get what I mean? Like having an argument with somebody, a loved one of yours, is going to lower your serotonin in a sense, right? Or let's say that you have a belief like gluten is the devil, like never eat gluten. Well, that's affecting your belief around gluten, and you're getting all these rashes and, you know, different things show up. Your belief doesn't support the greatness and the alchemy of that thing, you see? So I've had a lot of allergies growing up, man, and I think it comes from like me growing up as a kid, like throwing away certain kinds of food and rejecting certain kinds of food, and then them, I'm thinking about it like they're people, right? They rejected me, and so I'm gonna reject the food, you know, or whatever. It's not so much that, but it's more so like, you know, you want to understand that what is the real benefit here, right, of these things. And once you understand with the deity, right, you have to merge with the consciousness of the deity itself in order to find that protection. I've noticed in my inner child ritual, if I keep Padmasambhava's image in front of mine, there's another layer of protection that allows me to do greater inner child work, for instance, right? So just like with that, like let's say you're working with an element like water, you want to merge with the water. What does that mean? Swimming, you know, my showers are now magical, a mystical and magical experience every day when I take a shower. It's not the same thing. It's not the cold shower routine anymore. It's become a ritual, right? An actual practice, a shamanic practice that has been evolved and refined through the eyes of the magician or the seer or the perceiver. So, you know, sometimes we just need to get away from these top-down control strategies, you know, from other people, or, you know, really start to get away from all of this information. Because once you understand that, you know, you're merging with the consciousness of water, like, you know, as a kid, your mom used to feed you things, you know what I mean? Like, she used to be like, choo-choo, here comes the choo-choo train, or she used to be like, you know, oh, here's the airplane, or something like this, right? In that little baby voice that's hella annoying, but anyway, you guys get what I mean, right? Here comes the choo-choo train, and that would actually help the child eat the food, because it made it into a game, it made it play, it made it into something fun, it made it into an imagination. The same thing as magic, remember. This mother is doing this little childlike voice to merge with the child and go into their world, because they speak in a little bit more high-pitched voice rather than an adult voice of authority, which is very scary to the child, right? So we lilt our voice up, one intention, magical practice, merging with the consciousness of the child. So the child is in this world of fantasy and play and imagination, way more than they are in the physical world. They're in this theta state of absorption, right? And so when the food is now introduced not as a threat, but as an actual impact, right, that's going to change you in some sense, that is what is going to be ultimately very, very powerful for you, okay? And once you can change the impact that you have on something, then you can understand that what is reacting or impacting to that frequency or that thing, okay? So let's say I get a new pair of headphones or a new piece of clothing or something like this, right? Now I'll understand that this thing or this piece of clothing is now going to add much more advancement to my life, okay? Like, I look at this thing as a magical principle. When I buy a piece of jewelry, I don't look at it as a piece of jewelry. I'm looking at it as the most magical, you know, pathworking. I know that, you know, if someone makes me feel bad, my serotonin's gonna drop. If I see a hot chick, you know, I'm gonna get aroused, or I'm gonna get a boner, right? Something's gonna get hard. That is magic. You get what I mean? That is actually like, it is that process that is invisible, that is happening, that we can't understand. They say the magic is science that we just can't understand yet, right? It's the science of the future. So once we start to really speak to ourselves and understand these energy centers, and know this, all different cultures look at the energy centers very differently, right? They're looking at these things as very differently, but then there's a linking thread. Like in the Kabbalah, where you have the tree of life, you notice that some of the colors of the chakras are used. Oh, can I link those two together? Some people have made that correlation, okay? So it's about you using your wisdom, your intellect, your creativity, all your strengths, and your willpower, your free will that you got on this planet, and the imagination that you got on this planet tells you that you can actually morph this reality. But it's got to come with the designer's approval, which is God. It's got to come from God, and it's got to come from you. It's not going to come only from God. It's not going to come only from you. And that's what you're going to learn, okay? Now, some people are very jaded and thinking it's only going to come from the universe, but this is a co-creation. I told you, right? It's a co-participation that's happening. You can't expect the universe to just give you handouts and give you everything on a silver platter, right? You're gonna have to put in some energy, some efforts. Like the power of a ritual is based on the effort that we give into it. That's what makes it so potent. That's what makes it so powerful. And we can't see the fruits of the ritual right away, right? We're not going to see the fruits of that right away. But in the right timeline, in the right context, in the invisible world, in the quantum, it's instantaneous. So I have redrafted the word quantum in my world to just mean quickly or fast. So right now I have to go and see a client, and I'm speaking to you in the truth of my life, right? The client is not answering any of the phone calls, and it's not even sure that they're going to be showing up. And right now I'm meant to be ready to go, you know, and I'm still going. I'm gonna go up right now to my home, change, go see this client. If I don't though, I have a rendition. I have a magical pathworking to work on, you see? So I'm never bored. As a magician or a mystic or a savage shaman, as we like to call it, You are never bored in this journey because there's always some new level up, some new spiritual upgrade, something to do. Okay, there's always something to refine and something to hone in. And we are here as Primal Sutra to hack the shit out of it, to make it enjoyable, to make it epic, to make our lives greater, you know, than what this society has given us, or the status quo, or, you know, oh, the government, you know, is making this happen to me. And, you know, victim blaming feels bad and you go through a lot of pain. Leadership feels bad and you go through a lot of pain. They're different pains. You know what I mean? They're definitely different pains. So I hope you resonate with this message today. I hope you have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. Us.